So it's decision time for me. I can only really keep one of these handsets. These handsets being the lime green Sony Xperia Performance dual SIM variant, international, so the fingerprint reader does actually read my print, as you can see, and it's pretty fast. Not so that this finger isn't configured, but this finger is. So you can see that works pretty well. And this other phone is the HTC 10. Very good camera. This is, if I remember right, this is f1.8. This is f2, so slightly better camera for low light on the HTC, and it does have the dual tone LED and laser focusing. The Xperia has some sort of hybrid focusing, but just a single white LED as far as I can tell. They both record stereo sound, which is something I'm very interested in. I'm sure that was. They both record stereo sound, which is something I am very interested in. And this is where things, this is kind of for me a more weighted part of the decision. So the HTC 10 has a microphone there for the, what's that? That's the left channel. If it's facing that way, that's the left channel. The left channel. And it has a microphone not there. It has a microphone then on the side there, which I guess is the one you're also talking to. I guess when you're talking, when you're using it as a phone, your voice is picked up there, and that's doing noise cancellation. When you're recording video, it's left and right, and it does sound very good. But when you're recording kind of up close, you start to begin to realise that the stereo soundstage doesn't quite match the picture, and this is obviously not helped by any smartphone because the lens, is never equidistant from, just for various design compromises have to be made on all these things. I also found when I'm holding the phone, I'd often end up kind of smearing the lens with my hand, which kind of annoys me. And it's got, let's see what we've got. And it's got, buttons that light up down there. And I'd always press those accidentally, and that would really annoy me as well. You can sort of see which way this is going, can't you? Whereas the Sony, it has soft buttons, so you can't press anything down here while you're kind of palming it. You can't press something with your palm, or not easily. And also the microphones are positioned slightly more optimally. One on each end. I'm guessing they're all Omni variants. MEMS microphones. In terms of which one sounds best, that's obviously very subjective. In terms of recorded sound, I don't think there's much in it. What I will say for the Sonys is it records far more consistent sound, with a pretty low noise floor for a MEMS microphone, whereas the HTC, it's obviously doing some sort of cancellation algorithm, or maybe the Sony is as well, I don't know. But you can just hear the digital artifacting on the noise floor, and no matter how good the camera is, I'm really in this for the audio. So again, you can sort of see which way this decision is going, and I really do like the design of the Sony. Sony do have kind of movies and sound in their DNA, sound especially. Their company name is partly derived from Sonus, which is kind of a word for sound, and obviously they did the Walkman and all the rest of that. So I think, you know, as good as the HTC 10 is, Sony is kind of more my kind of phone, and it's green. You know, I like green. Green's my favourite colour. Now, the one really, really bad thing about the Sony, and it is unforgivable, this thing still overheats like a bugger. You can, you know, I did a test earlier today. I got 8 minutes of 60 FPS full HD video before it decided to crap out, which is poor. That is poor, Sony. If you're listening, that is poor. The HTC 10 does get hot. I've not had it overheat or quit the camera app on me. It can only do 6 minutes of 4K. The Sony can't do 4K at all. But again, this is about the audio, not video, and to my mind 1080p is more than enough for what I need. I mean, people rave on about how the HTC 10 has got a 4K panel, so this screen is like a 4K screen. I mean, why? It's just ridiculous. You're never going to be able to tell the difference between that and that just because that's got more denser pixels. I mean, it makes no sense. Having said that, the power consumption on the HTC 10 is very good. The screen doesn't seem to drain the power badly. I haven't had this long enough really to know what the battery's like, but it seems pretty robust to me so far. So yeah, it's you know, it's difficult to know. So like I say, the audio side and the design side really on with the Sony, really with the Sony. Just and the really bad thing is the camera app. It will just overheat. The video camera app. You know, once you stick it in 60 FPS, I mean, I'm presuming 30 FPS, it will go for a bit longer. One thing I have workaround I have discovered from my Z3 Plus days, where if you use the Google camera app, it'll basically run forever. But what that may do is overheat the phone to the point that the glue starts unbonding itself. You hear stories of Sony Xperias coming unstuck, and that's probably due to the heat. The silicon itself is you know, it takes some heat before it melts. I think the battery would probably explode before that was a problem. But like I say, there's in day-to-day usage, there's too many things I don't like about the HTC. I often somehow manage to, the way I hold it, I don't know why, but whenever I hold it, I accidentally press the buttons that are down there, and it just really annoys the hell out of me. Another slightly annoying thing, I don't know if you can quite see it, there were stories of the paint chipping off, and you can just sort of see there's a little white mark where the paint has come off. If I take the case off, actually, you'll probably see it a bit better. So, in fact, you can see, no, that's not a chip. There's a chip, I think there's a chip there. So, yeah, just there, that white mark, that's the paint has come off. So from an industrial design, you know, bill of materials, that's fairly unforgivable from HTC. Shades of the iPhone 5, isn't it, when that sort of had the same problem. And like I say, I'd often kind of end up with my finger over the lens and smearing it, which annoys me. I mean, you know, it's not a bad phone, but it's not quite good enough for me. Despite having high-res audio recording, you know, it can record at 96K 24-bit. In reality, neither of these actually sound as good as the Microsoft Lumia 950 XL. But of course that runs Windows Phone, so again, you're making compromises. So there's no solution. iPhone records mono, and from what I've seen of iPhone 7, that also is recording mono. So there's no perfect solution yet. Like I say, HTC kind of close, but these microphone placements really just not ideal. This Sony microphone placement really good. I mean, it's not, again, not perfect because that's lower than that one, but in terms of where the polarity is, you know, that'll be fine. Whereas this one, if you think about where the polarity is, it's going to come out the front and out the sides, and yeah, and again the noise floor on this one, you can hear digital artifacting really bad, really annoying. I mean, if you listen really hard, you can still hear uglies on this one, but they're nowhere near as bad as this one. So yeah, I think basically it's time to say goodbye to the HTC and see if my workarounds with the Google camera app on the Sony, again it'll only do 30 FPS from this camera, there's no way to up the resolution, and see how I go. One limiting factor with the Google camera, it can only record to internal storage. However, because this is a dual SIM variant, it has 64 gig internally, so that's not too bad. And I think you can either have dual SIM or one SIM and one micro SD. You can't have all three of those things in the tray at once, is what I've read. I haven't tried it, I don't know. So that's my thoughts on that. That's a Spigen case, but it's actually an HTC phone in there. Yeah, so quite a good case, doesn't come off easy. And oh, by the way, I'm recording this video with my Sony Z5 compact, and that's currently at 12.5 minutes of full HD, no sign of it overheating, although it does overheat. It seems to be maybe it's a common factor thread with the 23 megapixel sensor unit that the Sony include there. And I'm recording with the Rode SmartLav Plus. So there you go.